This month, the CD turns 40. From its modest start in the 80s to a Goliath-sized peak at the turn of the century, and finally to its eventual decline in the mid-2000s into the 2010s. The story of the compact disc has almost as many turns as its spiral track. The shiny tiny discs transformed the way people listen to music. That is before MP3s and streaming entered the conversation. But with young stars like Billie Eilish, BTS, and Olivia Rodrigo giving CDs new life, could they be making a comeback? And looking back, what is the history behind the compact disc, and what impact did it make on music? This is Billboard Explains, the story of the CD. It was October 1st, 1982 in Japan when Billy Joel's 52nd Street became the first ever CD to go on sale. Unlike its predecessors, the vinyl LP and cassette tape, the compact disc offered listeners digital audio with no surface hiss, clean sound, longer playing time so you didn't have to flip over an album, and immediate access to any track.
The CD had sort of this futuristic mystique to it. The fact that the CD was sort of shiny and had little colors when you looked at it, it was pristine sound. For those of us who spent much of our childhood carrying crates of records from apartment to apartment, having CDs was just so much more convenient and efficient.
But even with the music upgrades, the CD wasn't immediately embraced by the industry. There was a pushback from labels, manufacturers, and retailers. The changing of the bins didn't come easy, so Sony went past the execs and straight to the artists. Stevie Wonder was one of the very first artists who loved the concept of digital audio and adopted it fast. Eventually, more artists began to demand it. The CD took almost a decade to finally hit the gas. It was around 1987 when CDs surpassed the LP in volume and revenue for the first time. From then on, there was no looking back.
Once people became enamored with the format, every year there was a dramatic increase in terms of titles and sales. CD had taken over and literally was driving sales in the music industry.
In the US, CD album sales reached an all-time high in 2000 with 730 million sold according to Luminate. It was a juggernaut year for music, with pop, rock, and rap all delivering major hit albums.
Everybody had CDs. It was not uncommon to go to a friend's house and see racks and racks of CDs. It was sort of like a status thing.
Fans everywhere lined up to buy the year's top-selling album, NSYNC's No Strings Attached, which sold 9.9 million copies. Eminem, Britney Spears, and Santana also all scored best-selling albums in 2000. It was an era where the top artists routinely sold millions upon millions of albums of physical CDs. But that era wouldn't last long. By the mid-2000s, MP3s, Napster, and a string of other music-sharing sites quickly started replacing CDs as the go-to for consumers looking to listen to their favorite bands. CDs saw sales drop significantly in the late 2000s, and in the 2010s, streaming became king. In 2020, only 40 million CD albums were sold in the US, according to Luminate. That's the lowest in 35 years. Nowadays, only a small portion of physical CD sales account for top-selling albums. But could there be a comeback for the compact disc? There could be a glimmer of hope.
CD is still today the benchmark for digital sound quality to many generations of music fans who grew up in the digital era. New artists like Billie Eilish use CDs as the reference for sound quality.
Just last year, notable releases by superstars like BTS, Taylor Swift, and Adele helped give the music industry a bump in CD sales for the first time in 17 years. For some fans, purchasing a physical CD from their favorite artist still holds sentimental value. And artists like Beyonce, who are releasing CD packages with bonus features and merchandise, are seeing a major return. And even though many brick-and-mortar music retailers have shut down over the year, some record stores are still going. In Japan, CDs remain the music format of choice.
The music industry is cyclical in nature. Things come and they go and they return again.
CDs were part of pop culture, so I do think there is a sentimental, nostalgic aspect to them.
Though it is unlikely the CD will return to its former glory days of kids rushing to the mall to pick up the latest single, as long as there are fans who still enjoy the fruits of concrete music they can hold in their hands, the CD will still be around.